Hello and welcome to the Melta podcast. I'm Mike Clarkson. Most of you watching or listening to this will be Melta members, but how much do we actually know about the organization that we belong to? Who better to shed some light on this than the chair of Melta, Randy Perry? Randy, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, it is morning. A rainy morning here in Munich. Randy, I guess the best place to start here is by simply asking you, what is Melta, and exactly what is it actually for?
Well, that's not a very difficult question to answer. Melta is an organization of English teachers. It's been around for something like 35 years now in various forms in Munich. The main purpose, it has a few main purposes, I guess you'd say. We have first of all, I'd say it's provides an opportunity. It's probably its main aim, I would guess, is to provide an opportunity for teachers to further develop. The English teaching has gone through a lot of changes in the last 35 years, a lot of new methods and focuses and new tools have been developed, and so it's a way for provides an opportunity for English teachers in the Munich area to keep abreast of those developments. That's the main thing. The second main thing, of course, is to provide a kind of platform for social interaction, for networking. Members can come to events or via online events or directly via the website and so on to meet other members and contact and get information about what's going on. We do a few other things. We provide information about job opportunities, for example. And people contact us from time to time with problems about tax advisors, or they want to know about where can I'm looking for a teacher for something. So we have a certain sort of platform for information exchange. We provide events on pedagogical topics, and we allow people to network. Those are the main things I would say. Yeah. Not much. That's all. Those are the main things.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I mean, how did Melta actually start? I mean, you said 35 years ago now. How did the whole thing actually kick off, Randy?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that. I wasn't around back then. I only know that from about third-hand information. And I can't say much about it. It was a group of English teachers, mostly Freiberufler, freelancers, and working at companies, working at the Volkshochschule. And they thought, okay, good, we're cut off, we're isolated, we don't have a real school as such that we have where we can meet, a teacher's room and things like that. So let's get together and see if we can form an association that would allow us at least to connect with each other. And that's what they did originally. It was fairly modest at the beginning. It didn't have many members, and bit for bit it expanded to where it is today. That's the original. That was the origin. I think about 1989, 1988, right in there was when it started. But again, I wasn't around back then, so really the people with the information, you'd have to contact them.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. You mentioned events. You mentioned the website.
Yeah.
Do you want to just go into a bit more detail about exactly what Melta actually does and what it provides as a service for its members?
Yeah. Okay. The website. Okay. First, well, now let's start with the workshops. That's probably what is one of our most important things that we do. We try to have workshops and webinars about 8 or 10 times a year, at least, something like that, on various topics with various speakers, and those take various forms. Sometimes it's internal people from Melta present things. Sometimes we bring in speakers from outside, from around the English teaching community worldwide. We bring them in, either online or in person, and have them present workshops. That's the one thing we do. That's the main goal there. Then we have the newsletter. The newsletter goes out with information now 3 times a year. And that again offers people an opportunity to exchange information, to trade news, about what's going on internationally and nationally and within the organization. So that's the second thing. Then we have the website, which is also a platform for information exchange, and now we have podcasts. That's a new development. Yeah. So this is the main kind.
It is a new development. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is number 5, Randy.
Right. So here we are.
So the website, the workshops, the webinars, Melta News, were they all around from the beginning, or did they kind of, slowly kind of
There weren't
evolve
any
as time?
webinars. There weren't any webinars. There were workshops.
Yeah, sure.
And there were social meetings. People used to get together. It kind of had a Stammtisch for a while. That sort of petered out, I think, at some point. But they had meetings and women at various sort of ad hoc basis. They invited people. They got together on an ad hoc basis. And then, the newsletter was around from the beginning because
Okay.
there was no other way to communicate with the members except by telephone.
Right.
There were no personal computers. There was no email. And so they sent out the schedules of events in the newsletter. That was the main way of communicating. So yeah, I was there from the very beginning. It was one of the first things they set up, and it's been kept going. We kept it going for 35 years in various formats. It's changed, but it's still around. Yeah.
And does the Melta News today look like it did in the beginning? Well, has
No,
it?
not at all. No, I mean it's the same basic
Yeah.
platform that it was before, I guess, publication that it was before. But no, it's changed a lot. It was black and white, typed on a manual machine, photocopied and sent around,
Right.
stayed together and sent around. And now it's in color and it has a lot more, I suppose, visual impact than it had before. But the content is very, very similar. Perhaps it's changed a bit. We don't focus so much on just printing the schedule of events that we send out by email in the meantime. But we do have information on
I'll come back to
materials.
sorry, Andy, what?
No, I just said it still contains methods, information on methods, materials,
Yeah.
ideas for activities, classroom activities, book reviews, all that kind of stuff. That was there from the beginning.
Okay.
It's still there now.
Okay, good. Okay, before we go into more detail on Melta as an organization, I wanted to ask you about the other organizations and indeed ELTAs that exist within Germany, right? Because Melta is just one of many similar organizations in Germany, I guess. Is that right?
There are 7. There are 7 ELTAs. And one is in Hamburg, and one is in Rhineland, one is in Ulm, and Stuttgart, and Frankfurt, and Berlin, Brandenburg. We're number 7, Melta.
And what is Melta's relationship with the other ELTAs? Is it a close relationship?
Yeah, well, it could be closer, but we're in contact. We're in constant contact with them, and work fairly closely when we have time. I mean, they have their own agendas. We have our agenda. They let us know when they're having events. We let them know when we're having events that are accessible to their members. And we meet from time to time. We meet with the activities coordinators and exchange information. We meet with the chairs from time to time and talk about problems we're having and where they're having problems or where they have solutions or ideas for things. We're in couple, 2 or 3 times a year, we're in touch with them directly. We have a platform that we use to communicate, spread news back and forth. And we know those folks and they know us. And we don't do too many common events in the sense that we would all work together to invite a speaker. They have their program, we have our program. And then if it's online, we let them know and they let us.
Yeah.
That's the basic. That's what.
Right. Was Melta the first of the ELTAs, or did
No, Hamburg was the
Hamburg
first
was
one.
the first? Okay.
Yeah. But again, I mean, you're asking me about history. I wasn't around. I just know the Hamburg because I know the folks in Hamburg. And I said, yeah, they were before we were, but not. They were back in the late '80s, and then Melta came along after that, and the others came up afterwards.
Okay. And what about the other organizations in Munich and Bavaria, like in Munich, for example, the Volkshochschule? What is Melta's relationship with these organizations?
No, we're linked with quite a few, or networked with quite a few other organizations around Germany and internationally. Where we have connect. We're a member of, an associate member of TEFL, which is the International English Language Teachers Association. And we're in touch with those people there. We subscribe to their publication. We post that on the website for people who are interested. We meet with them from time to time. They have now online meetings. We're in touch with them. I mean, we send delegates there, and have always sent delegates there to their conferences, so that we meet. We know the people. We know some of the people. It's a huge organization. I don't know, 160 countries are represented or something, or organizations. So we don't know them all, but we do meet with them from time to time. And every year we're in touch with them. We're in touch with the publishers, of course. In Munich, book publishers, they organize, and we cooperate with them in organizing workshops from time to time. We're in touch, as you said, with the Volkshochschule. We're very closely connected with the Volkshochschule. They've always supported us from the beginning. We use their facilities. They allow us to use their facilities. We're in touch with the Celta people. We cooperate with them. We provide them with information. They send people to us, or they notify their members, their students, their graduates about Melta, and they come to that. We're in close contact with people at LMU, a lot of the people at the Munich University. We have a lot of members at the Munich University. They inform us about events from time to time, and projects they have. We publicize projects they have. We're members of the so-called Deutsches Ehrenamt. This is a legal organization that provides information to organizations like ours about changes in the law affecting Vereine, associations like ours.
Yeah.
We're in contact with refugee organizations. And when we have a lot of refugees in Munich, as you know, and many of them are English teachers. And so they inform us. They've got some people, and we go to their meetings from time to some of our members go to their meetings, and they tell us, we've got meet some English teachers. We inform them about Melta. We've been a long time, Melta has been associated with another organization of a Ukrainian exchange program with Ukrainian teachers. It's called the German, I think the Deutsche Ukrainische Pädagogische Verein, and they organize exchange programs with, or have up until the pandemic, exchange programs with Ukrainian teachers came over here, and then teachers from Melta and from the Volkshochschule went over there and held workshops and went to schools. We haven't resumed since the pandemic, but we are still in touch with a lot of teachers over there in Ukraine, and many have come over here to Poland and different parts of Germany. We're in touch with them, and they contribute to the Melta activities. We're involved also with there's the book fair, the Haar book fair, English book fair. We're in touch with those people. They communicate with us. We're in touch with the people at the book swap at the America House. They communicate with us. Now we're in touch with the Munich Public Library. They inform us about developments there for English speakers. So we have a lot of contacts with a lot of different types of organizations. Some are closer than others, but all of them are beneficial to us, and we hope are also beneficial to them.
Melta is undoubtedly a success, Randy. How do you account for that? And it's been around for a long time now. It seems to be thriving, maybe, certainly successful. What would you say?
Well, I'd say there are probably a couple of reasons, I suppose. Probably one of the main reasons is that we have a core of members who are, they're professional teachers who are interested in what we do, and they're committed to Melta, and they keep it going. And then we're networked with these other organizations. That is a major support to us. We couldn't do the things we do without being networked. We were networked before we had before the days of emails and Zoom. We had close connections with other organizations, and they give us a lot of input. They provide us a lot of ideas for speakers and for topics and for projects. That's the other thing. And then I think sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes we've just been lucky in situations. I mean, I can give you some examples. I mean, when the pandemic broke out, that was a major crisis. Yeah. And I think we had our AGM on something like the 8th of March or 7th or 8th of March, and they closed down the country. The lockdown came on the 13th of March. Suddenly people found out they didn't have a job. Schools were closed. Yeah, shops were closed, everything was closed. And so we were able to set up, within the first week after that, we set up three webinars on using Zoom.
Uh-huh.
We linked those with people all across, in the ELTAs all across Germany. We were having like 50, 60 people attending those webinars to learn how to use Zoom so they could resume teaching, for example. And we had we had the processes in place for organizing online webinars. We had the people who knew how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We had people who were knowledgeable about using Zoom, and they were able to take over and moderate the events. And we had the connections around Germany to do that. And so that was just an example of how all these things came together: a core of people, networking, and also just luck that people were able to jump in and say, "Oh yeah, I know somebody who knows about Zoom. Yeah, contact him." And sure enough, they came along. That was an example. There are other ones. We lost our venue 2 years ago. Forever since the beginning, practically since the beginning of Melta, we were in Gasteig. We worked with the folks who let us use their facilities there. And then 2 years ago, Gasteig closed.
Mm.
So we had to find a new venue. And so everybody's who knows somebody knows about venue. Venues cost, if you to rent a venue in Munich, is you're talking 250 euros at least,
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
places. And somebody then lucky just contacted the folks up at Arbella Park Volkshochschule, and they said, "Sure, come on, when we'll help you." And they've been great. So that was just luck. We found somebody who was willing to support us. We've had the same thing with the Melta News. We changed the layout, and somebody knew somebody who knew a really good layouter, and she gives us a special deal, and she's highly professional. Again, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's virtue.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we are.
As far as member numbers are concerned, I mean, are they kind of stable? Have they risen? Have they fallen over the years?
I mean, you have to keep in mind that Melta is a little bit different from a lot of other associations in that it's very diverse. We have people from a lot of countries. We have quite a few members who are German natives, but the overwhelming majority are not German, or if they're German, they got their German citizenship since Brexit. But the
Mm.
they're from international backgrounds. Let's put it that way. And so they tend so there's a lot of turnover that way. People come to Munich, they work in Munich, live for a while, and then they go back home. They go back to Florida,
Yeah.
Devon, or also Sydney, wherever they came from. So we have a certain amount of turnover that way. People also, because of the nature of the teaching profession in Germany, people will say, well, they came here and they started teaching, got a job teaching, and they joined Melta, and then they decide, oh, I don't want to, teaching doesn't pay enough, or I'd rather be doing something else, and they get another job, or they move to Berlin, or the husband moves to Frankfurt or something. So off they go, and they terminate their membership. So there's a lot of flux in the membership for that reason. There's a lot of turnover that way, but the numbers are pretty stable in that we have surprisingly little turnover, in the
Mm.
sense that even when people retire, they keep their Melta memberships. Even when they move to Paris or Berlin, they keep their Melta memberships.
Mm.
So the numbers vary anywhere from 200 to 260. It varies from time to time. The membership numbers are going up. We have a lot of members in the meantime who are spread around, not only in Munich. In fact, I would say the majority of the Melta members are not in Munich.
Okay.
Within, let's say, the U-Bahn Bereich, inside
Yeah.
the subway network, they're out in the
Yeah.
suburbs, or they're in adjacent towns, or we have members in Poland, like I said, we have members in Ukraine, we have members in Paris, we have members in Berlin, we have members in Karlsruhe, and around Vienna, Turkey. We have people who for one reason or another want to be involved in Melta. So it's become increasingly international over the years. The last few years, I would say, since maybe before the pandemic it started. So it's a wide ranging organization in that way, and the numbers go up and down. There's an uptick now in memberships this year,
Mm-hmm.
but you never can tell. I mean, it's surprisingly stable. I mean, it goes up and then it comes down within a certain range, but turnover is surprisingly low for an organization like ours.
Is it fair to say that the average age is actually fairly old, or is that just that the people who tend to come to the workshops tend to be on the older side? How does the
I
whole
don't
membership
know. I
look?
don't know what the average age of Melta members is.
Right.
Um, I think we have all ages. If you go to the webinars and look at faces, and I don't judge what looking. I mean, for me, practically all Melta members are young compared to me, so it's hard for me to say. But they all seem to be pretty young to me. The thing, there are issues though with the kind of people who come to Melta events and that you see at Melta events. These are kind of long-term teachers. These are people who are serious long-term teachers normally, and who appreciate what we're doing. But I don't know if there's an age thing there or not. But I know we have people in the 30s, we have people in their 70s. It's a wide range of members. But I've never done a survey. I've never asked. I don't say, well, how about when you join Melta, could you please give us your date of birth? We don't do that. But we do have a fairly wide range of types of teachers, and that's real important for us too. It's not so much the age. The age factor is not. It doesn't matter. I don't care how old you are, but we have to know where. It's good to know where they're teaching, and what kind of work they do. Are they teaching children? Are they teaching at the universities? Are they teaching one-on-one? Are they teaching online? Are they teaching in person again? What's because we have to know. We have to be able to focus our events and our Melta news articles and everything else on the needs of the membership. So we just conducted a survey, and that there we have a bit of information. The survey is not statistically scientific. About half the Melta members on our books replied, which is very helpful to know, and it's interesting to see. I mean, it's not so I can't say, well, 30% this, 20% that. I can only estimate. And some teachers do two things: they teach one-on-one, and they teach business in companies, or they teach at the Volkshochschule and they teach at the university. And they clicked both boxes. So in that respect, it's not very scientific. But what is interesting is I would say a good 30 to 40% of the Melta members are in either state schools or universities. Another 30 to 40% also teach at the Volkshochschule in some way. Maybe they have one course, maybe they have a full program at Volkshochschule. A lot teach in companies, but probably not surprisingly fewer teach at private language schools, as far as I can tell. But that is a significant thing, that we have a lot of people who are in universities and in state schools, and a lot of people are at the Volkshochschule, at least part-time. The Volkshochschule people only there part-time. As a
So
rule,
it would be fair to say there's a mix of people who are freelancers, who are kind of self-employed, and who are in salaried positions working for universities and schools.
Yeah, there's a mix of that. All right, but again, I don't have any direct statistics, and sometimes it's both. I mean, there are people teaching at the university who are also freelancers. They hire freelancers at the university. I mean, they give them a contract, a 2-year contract, but you have some people who are just doing, teaching one course on a hourly basis. So that's not also clear. But yeah, we have a lot of members who are teaching, who are in full-time teaching positions. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. And those people tend to be, part of our core membership.
Yeah.
Because they see the point of what we're doing. They're not coming to find.
Yeah. Thinking ahead to the future a little bit, how do you see the future of Melta?
Well, I don't have a very good view of that right now. What I can say is that I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but basically we're going to keep going like we have been pretty much. What we have certain challenges we have to master in the next.
What would you say those challenges are?
Okay, there's nothing really new. Challenges we've always had, but the first thing is that we're like all voluntary organizations. There's a certain amount of attrition, and we always need fresh blood, and we need people with new ideas coming in, and we need people who are have a professional commitment, and who have experience, and also our network. We need people who come in and do those things, or have those characteristics. And so that's one thing. That's a challenge, and that's going to involve more outreach, I think, probably in the future. Like I said, we have an uptick now, but who knows? Membership, who knows how long that will last. The other thing is we have to keep in mind that we have about 230 to 240 members now, around 240, I guess, which is about what it has been for the last few years. There was an upshoot during the pandemic. A lot of people joined during the pandemic, and then they got what they wanted. They learned how to use Zoom or use the online tools or what it was, and off they went. We didn't see them again. But so it, like I say, it varies, but we're around 240. And to do that to keep that organization going, and just the things I mentioned, just to maintain the website, to organize the events, to edit and publish the Melta news. And then also to maintain the membership lists, to manage the finances, to deal with the Finanzamt and the Amtsgericht, the controlling authorities in Germany. This requires a lot of back office administrative work. It also requires people who can manage projects, so project management. It requires people with journalistic skills who know how to copy edit. Not everybody who teaches English knows how to copy edit. Not everybody who teaches English knows how to prepare financial statements or budgets or how to coordinate with the legal authorities. All those things, organize events. We have to contact speakers. We have to assess speakers. We have to negotiate with speakers. We have to arrange the venue. We have to move the tables and make the coffee. We need all those kind of things. And then the paperwork is extraordinary, keeping the membership lists up to date, keeping the finances organized. This is very time consuming, but it also requires a certain amount of knowledge and skills. And like I say, we couldn't focus without networking. We need people to network, people who can network and have the time to network with the other organization. People with electronic skills, people to operate the website, to do the email blasts, all those kind of things. And so this is what we need. And this is always a challenge. And so that's nothing new. I think we have probably a pretty good team in place now. But the thing is, it's too much work for 7 people. We have 7 people on a committee, and it's too much work for 7 people, who are also working and have families and other responsibilities. They have to take their free time to do this kind of stuff, and sometimes things don't get done. It's a voluntary organization. We don't get paid, and it's a lot to ask people to come and do this kind of stuff. So that's going to be a challenge. We've got to get more people involved in the administration of the organization if we are going to continue as we have been, which we want to do.
So the idea maybe of one day Melta becoming a profit-making concern, is that something which is feasible at some point or not?
No.
No?
Melta can never be a profit-making organization.
Okay.
If Melta ever became a profit-making organization, we would be closed, shut down by the Finanzamt immediately.
Why is that, Aaron?
Because we're a charity.
Yeah, okay.
And we're what's called a gemeinnütziger Verein. That's a public service, tax-exempt organization. And if we violate, and we have very strict guidelines for that. That's what I said. The legal aspect is very important. We have to report our activities. We report every 3 years, but we report for 3 years. So they take all our documents for 3 years, all of our financial information, all the information about our activities, all the information about our AGMs and our minutes of our meetings, and they go over those and say, did we violate any of the guidelines? They're not guidelines, they're laws.
Yeah.
And if we violate those, we have a Satzung, we have articles of association, and those articles of association have been approved by and are registered with the Munich District Court. They have the force of law.
Yeah.
So if we break those guidelines, then we are breaking the law. And as soon as we do that, and it's not a theoretical possibility, the Finanzamt then will confiscate our bank account, assess us for taxes, and what money is left will be distributed to other public service organizations in Germany. And if they notice that there has been an intentional violation, the chair and the treasurer will be prosecuted. And that happens. Not to us, but not yet. But It happens to other foreigners. So no, we can't do that. And like I said, we're basically in the same situation as the Red Cross or the Amnesty International, World Wildlife Fund. We're not a business. And as soon as we try to do that, if we ever did that, even by mistake, which could happen, we could generate more money than we spend.
Yeah.
And there are guidelines for that. We're allowed to do a certain amount. We don't have to spend all our money every year, but basically the principle is we collect money. The money that we collect is not taxed. It's tax-free. We don't have to pay taxes on it. And we have to spend it in the year. And we're allowed to have a certain amount of carryover every year. That's regulated. And if we go over that, we're in danger of being shut down. And that has happened. There are other regulations too that are very strict. The committee members cannot be paid for their work. They get what's called an Ehrenamtspauschale, which has to be established by the AGM. Right now, it's 35 euros a year for out-of-pocket expenses. Committee members can't charge if you go to a meeting and you drive your car in and park it in a parking garage, and you say, "Oh, Melta has to go to a committee meeting or an AGM or a workshop," and say, "Well, I had a cost associated with my membership on the committee. Here's the bill for the parking garage." We can't pay that. It's against the law. And there are a number of guys. We cannot provide our services to for-profit organizations, and that happens from time to time. We get requests from organizations say, "Oh, we're an institute up in Berlin. We have this great series of workshops. Would you advertise those for us for your members?" And we say, "Well, are you a nonprofit organization?" "Well, actually, we're GmbH. We are a business." So they're trying to sell stuff. "Would you advertise it in an email blast or on your website or in the Melta News?" And we have to say no. So those are just examples. There are more things. There's a little book you can get, and there's their legal it's consultants who help us with this. Because a couple of times we've been on the border, and it was a hassle to get things sorted out.
So you're saying there have been times when Melta has almost had to close down.
Well, we didn't almost have to close down, but we had to work very closely with lawyers and with the Amtsgericht and the Finanzamt to sort out problems. There was a phase where we were going up to in the good old days before the pandemic. You just went up to you didn't even have to make an appointment. You just knocked on the door at the tax office and went in and said, "Hi, here's my tax number," and they pull down your file, and you'd sit down and say, "Well, we got a problem here, we got a problem there. What are we going to do?" And they're very helpful. They weren't trying to close us down; they were trying to help us make sure we didn't violate anything, and we were able to work it out. But I was one year I was probably 7 or 8 times. I was in the office of the Finanzamt. We had multiple meetings with lawyers because we were in potential violation of some of those stipulations that I just mentioned, and so that's the thing we have to watch out for. So no, we can never do that, and it's one thing that some members should know. We have a Satzung, we have articles of association, and these things are spelled out in there. We can change the articles of association, and we have multiple times, and there's a process for doing that, and it is very time consuming and it is complicated. But we have done it. Initially, it said in the articles of association, for example, and this is important stipulation we have to abide by every year. It's a minor thing, but it's important in that we must notify all members in writing at least 4 weeks before an AGM. That's in there. And it had to be by letter. You had to get a letter in the post, which was a huge amount of work because we had to make sure we had the postal addresses of all the members, and then it was expensive. You get 240 stamps and type out the letters and sign the letters and send them out 4 weeks before. And so we said, well, at one point we said, well, it wasn't so long ago. I think it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago. We said, this is taking up too much time. So we talked to lawyers and we talked to finance, and they said, no, change your articles of association, and they can do it by email on the condition that all of your members have email addresses. If one member of Melta does not have an email address, then all of the letters must go out by the post for all the notifications. So we check. So now if you want to join Melta, you have to give an email address. There are things like that. This is the kind of stuff. This is what these are. It's time. We need people who know about this and have time to do this. And this is what we're working on. We're always trying to get more people on board, more than just the committee members, because committee members can't do it all. And so that's what we're working on, and that's what we're going to do. And at all the meetings we're going to have in the next few months, in the next few years, I'm not talking years, I'm talking months. We're gonna pass out lists and say, what can you do to, what can you do for Melta? So you sign your name here, and we'll bring you on board.
Great, that's fascinating stuff, Randy. Just to finish off, because I want to round off now. Round up. You talked about things coming up in the coming months this year. Just give us some highlights of what is coming up for the rest of 2024.
Okay, we're working on the program right now. We're working on Melta News right now. I'll be working on that the rest of the day. So we've got another issue of Melta News coming out, hopefully in the first half of April, or we'll get the electronic version out in the first half of April anyway. There's always delays with the printers. The printers take sometimes forever. In any event, again, that's coming out. We're going to have a series of workshops. We're in discussions now, negotiations with a couple of people for in-person workshops. There's a lady in Geneva who's probably coming in to do a workshop for us in the summer, and perhaps in May. We don't know. She's got time in May or June. We're going to have some online workshops which we're coordinating. And one of the things that we're going to do, and we've done in the past, and we haven't done since the pandemic, but we're going to start again, is having what we call, well, two different kinds of things. What we used to call show and tell workshops, which were extremely successful in the past. And that's where just members get up. You invite members, and members come around, and for 5 or 10 minutes, you get up and present some activity that you're using in your classes.
Yeah.
Take turns. It's just an activities workshop or methods workshop or whatever it is, and we get a bunch of people, and they come and give a little, what they call show and tell presentation, short and to the point. And that also provides a lot of input. Members, cross organization communication, and people an opportunity to socialize and find out what the other people are doing, where they're working, what kind of problems they have, how they're solving those problems, and so on and so on. That is real important. The other thing we want to do is have another thing which is a little more formal, and that is what we call a Melta Day. And we'll probably do that, probably going to do that till the autumn, because we're going to have a full program, I think, in May, June, July. Now this is a hard time because we've got Easter and Pfingsten, and we just had Fasching, and so things were closed down. But we'll be working in the summer, and then again in the autumn, and we'll probably have what we call a Melta Day, and that's where we get 2 or 3 or 4 Melta members who are doing specific kind of things, and then they will each give, say, a 45-minute workshop. And again, with opportunities in between to socialize and to network in between, with coffee and cake and that kind of stuff. So that's what's in the offing right now. But again, working on the program, and we hope to have that in the next few weeks. And we'll be announcing that. We'll be announcing some information, providing some information in the upcoming Melta News, and email blasts will be going out as well in the next few weeks.
That's great, Randy. That's a nice place to end, I think. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. That was great. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks a lot to you, Mike, and Elie, and the whole team for organizing these podcasts. And I wish you a lot of success in the future. And I hope we're able to keep this project going as well.
That's great. Thank you very much. Viewers and listeners, the next Melta podcast will be out in April, and that will be an interview with Birgitta Berger, which I'm looking forward to. Thank you very much for listening, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.